there's so much to get into. And first and foremost, and we've said it here on Busted Open many times, and I said it on the show, want to definitely say thank you. Because at this stage of your career, to do what you did at Double or Nothing and to take that leap, it's just unbelievable. And, we'll get into how you're feeling in the aftermath of that. But, thank you for still giving 110% each and every time that you step into that ring. And I think Double or Nothing was definitely an example of that.
You're welcome for my stupidity. It was less a leap and more a fall. Nah, it's part of the albatross of the pro wrestler, right? You get out there and you just go, no, I got this. And your brain tells you, yeah, got it, no problem. Sure, 15 feet, yeah. And then, once I land and I go, oh, but I'm 50. Huh. So the good thing is I landed and I was like, okay, it's not my Achilles, because it was the same leg that I tore my Achilles on. I was like, well, Achilles held, that's cool. Maybe it's an ankle sprain, maybe it's a bone bruise. Like it felt like ankle and tibia or fibia jammed, right? I got up, finished the match, and I felt a little click. I was like, okay, I got this. Finish the match, get to the back. I was like, huh, interesting. They started moving it and playing with it. And I was like, it doesn't hurt that much. So then I walked out of the building. I walked straight into emergency. And they went, what are you doing? Get off your foot, dumbass. Like, you have a broken leg. I went, oh, okay. I didn't know that. So here we are, right? But yeah, I feel like that's the albatross of the pro wrestler. It just you get out there and you want to give them a show, right? And I think I could have got the same mileage if I'd done it off the top rope. So live and learn, but at the same time, I finished the match. That more than anything, I was like, okay, I got through it, and there was no way getting that close, knowing what we had coming with Gangrel and everything. It's like we had to see that through. We had to, and hopefully also throughout this story, it's a reminder of what House of Black brings to the table too, and just kind of let people understand. Oh yeah, by the way, there's this group of badasses that have an insane presentation. So a few missions accomplished, and a setback.
Adam, when you are now at your career, because you have had some amazing matches, and we were just previously before you got in here, I was saying how you create moments in between and you have like adapted to the style of AEW. When you're putting your matches together, what is your like main goal for the new fans that, they used to see you back in the other company, now they see you here?
More than anything, I've always, my pride tells me I'm adaptable, right? I want to be able to get in with anybody, whether that means Penta and we're exchanging head scissors that I haven't done since '92, or I'm exchanging forearms with Minoru Suzuki, or I'm having a no DQ match against Brody King, and on a Wednesday, and on that Saturday having a technical match with Kyle O'Reilly. That for me is just super fun. I love being able to dive into different styles and go, okay, I can adapt to this. I've done enough of this, and I've done enough of this, and I've done enough of this, and tried to throw those into my palette over the years to be able to at least pull off something serviceable, so that Kyle doesn't get in there and go, man, I can't chain wrestle with this guy, or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So, but more than anything, it's making sure to build in moments for the audience, because I feel like so many times now we get caught up in the moves, and if they don't care about the person or the character doing the moves, then there's the reaction to the move, and then nothing. And then that's it, right? And it's not sustainable, and it doesn't last. Now, I could also take my own advice, and again, I didn't need to do that off of a cage, so I fell into the same trap. It happens to all of us, I guess. But more than anything, it's really just trying to build in moments for the audience. And I know there's one moment where we can connect, and that's when it becomes this thing. That's when I liken it to a concert. And I'm going to say this for Dave's sake. It's like when I go to a Pearl Jam concert, right? And you get this group of 20,000 people who are all on the same page, who are feeling the same thing. It's the closest thing I can relate to a religion in a way. That same kind of bonding feeling, right? And you got to give an audience an opportunity for that, to come on your side, to let them know with a look in your eye you need them, and we're in this together, let's do it, or as a heel, the flip side of that, I don't need you, which, if just watch a Christian Cage match, the look on his face, which is his everyday 24-hour look, that will he lets you know, don't need you, don't want you, and as a baby face, it's the opposite. Like, there's a point where I'm going to start setting up for that spear, and I'm just going to look to them. And I liken it to when you're at that concert and the lead singer, he looked at me. I know he did. Meanwhile, he's looking at the 5,000 people on that side, but you feel connected. That, to me, is what our job is to make people forget about the boss, forget about the bully, forget about the whatever it is, and just get engrossed in this story that we're trying to tell. And there's a hero and there's a villain, or there's somewhere in between. But in a perfect world, there's always a story. And the match is truly just a chapter in that story.
Beautiful. So Adam, I was very fortunate. I got to travel with Tommy Dreamer. I got to travel with Angry Jay. I got to travel with you, and I not just learning regular stuff. You're learning inside the ring stuff in the car, but in a joking way, but also picking up some pieces. And also we were working together at the same time. Sure. So I'm learning all these pieces from you inside and outside of the ring. And it's very much like you said, creating those moments. We had a match that it's one of my absolute favorite ones, absolute favorite. At Royal Rumble, everyone knows I'm not beating you. You're a badass. I'm kind of presented as a loser guy. No, don't worry about that. The fact that Adam was so good at creating those moments and the story of buying into it, that 5 minutes in, everyone's like, let's get through this. This is this is just a warm up, tune up match for Adam getting ready for Mania down the line. To 10 minutes in, to everyone going, oh, I'm not so sure, to 15 minutes in, people on their feet going, oh my God, is he going to pull this off? All because Adam was so good at his job and creating those moments of he's got it. Oh my God, maybe he doesn't. And there's 15 of that 25 minutes is the crowd not sure of a guy who had no business being in the match, no business being world champion, and almost doing it because of how good you were, because of how good of a story you told and the pieces you laid out for them to just be engrossed in this match. And it's just something that it's one of my absolute favorite matches anyway, because I got to work with you and we've been driving up and down the road, but having those pieces stand out where you cut to people in the crowd that just knew that I was losing, but because of your ability to tell the story, they cut to him like, what? For the last 15 minutes of the match. And it's all because of the pieces of the story that you told and how good you are at telling that story. So I appreciate that.
Well, that's what I love that match too. And for multiple reasons, but yeah, going into it, there was probably not a lot of people. And we talked about it beforehand. I was like, hey, this is Boston. And Boston likes their underdogs, because at that point they didn't have the immediate success of, I think, maybe they had the Red Sox, but like they still like the underdog, right? And I said, they're going to be with you at first. Don't worry, we'll get them, and they're just going to be hooked on what we're doing. And to me, the goal of that match was to show them that you do belong in that spotlight, because I knew you did, and they just needed to see it. And so that for me was the goal. I was like, we need to show them what he can do, because he deserves to be here. And that's, with false finishes and all of those things. But man, it was just a blast, because, in my mind, we're ticking off the minutes. It was like, okay, here they come. All right, now we'll get them here. Now we're really going to get them for this go home, because we're going to get them to where they truly don't know. And I'd like to think I was the kind of champion, kind of like and I'm not comparing myself to Flair. I'm not. I'm just saying the kind of champion where he could lose tonight.
Yeah,
he could absolutely lose tonight. Even if it's a house show, this guy could lose. He could lose it to Rey Mysterio tonight. He could lose it to Jeff Hardy. He could definitely lose it to Undertaker. So that to me always made it easier too, because they always bought past a certain point, like, oh, they might go with this newer guy because he's hanging. Those are just really fun. and telling that kind of story. And I remember getting to the back and I walked right up to Vince. I was like, we got a guy here. Like, we got a guy. So take it for what it's worth. But yeah, but I had a blast in that one. It's again, every story is different. Every opponent is different, which is what I've had so much fun with AEW, because like we talked about earlier, like all of those different styles that I've already been able to tap into, and it didn't really call for that sometimes with WWE, especially if I'm just popping in every few months. Like it kind of becomes a bit of a formula, and what I didn't want to do was do the greatest hits, and it felt like that's what it was becoming. Mind you, doing the greatest hits, I probably wouldn't have a broken leg right now. So
Adam, how does it feel for you? And first of all, I love the analogy with Eddie Vedder as far as how he can command an audience and say, hey, we're all in this together. In pro wrestling, in major sports, it's very rare you're going to stay with one team your entire career. You're probably going to move on. Here you are, you're moving over to AEW. You're a leader, you're a veteran. Is it easy for you to be like the Eddie Vedder role, like rallying everybody around, like, hey, we're a team, let's do this together and let's succeed?
I mean, that's part of the goal, but I've also found you can't just walk in and start shouting that from the rooftops either. You gotta show it, and that the way, to me, you show that is get out there and bust your ass. And if at 50 years old and whatever my accomplishments are, if I'm willing to do it, then hopefully everybody is. And that buy-in, right? The Florida Panthers right now, they're in the Stanley Cup Finals, and all you hear their coach, Paul Maurice, talk about is the buy-in. The entire team is bought in. If you get a roster to buy in and really start to see a vision and go, wait, we can accomplish this. And then once we accomplish that, hey, let's move the goalposts. Let's keep going. And but to me, I needed to do that by example and be there for a little while before I could start to go, okay, and cut that promo on TV, or let talent know, hey, you want to pick my brain? Doesn't mean you have to. Here's my number. If you want to, I'm a resource. And you got to pick your resources, though, because you're going to have a whole bunch of them in your ear. And then you have to filter through those different people telling you things, which can be very confusing as a young talent, because I think, I'm guessing you two have been there too, and that you get all of this information because people want to help. But I just feel like you got to kind of like throw it in a talent's lap and let them come to you when they want to come to you, kind of thing. But the entire roster knows, and this goes for WWE too. I'm always around, especially now.
Yeah. I was just going now that you did this great segue to your injury. How has it been from your surgery? And now, I mean, I've seen you that you've been very active on social media. And one of the things that I was like, man, this guy is already exercising and he is in such good shape, right? And he's promoting his abs exercises or his plank exercises. You can talk about it. Pure plank. So how's it been for you? And we wanted to ask about the dogs. How are the dogs treating you?
So, I had the surgery on Monday, and it was a success. I guess it got a little complicated just because of where the break is. It's kind of right above the ankle joint, which is called a pilon fracture, apparently. Okay. So the cartilage in between your ankle and your tibia and fibia, got squished, and then the break, and I guess there were shards of it too. So they had to like try and compact it all with the plate and the screws. I haven't looked at an X-ray. I'm not going to, just because that stuff, I don't find that helpful. But I with this injury, I've realized DoorDash is pretty cool. I started using DoorDash. I didn't know how to use it. I had to get Beth to show me how. So I've been doing that. I've been a lot of reading, a lot of Dr. Mario, but those dogs have been by my side. Like, my husky tries, but he's 75 pounds. I'm like, dude, no, like you cannot cuddle with me. but the two Frenchies and the Toy Aussie have been like on top of me. It's been okay. You know, again, this is surgery 7. So I know the mission, I know the drill, I know what I have to do. Stark reminder how lousy lower body injuries are though. You know, the only time I've ever messed up my lower body was the Achilles. And I quickly remembered how frustrating that recuperation was. And it's the same with this. It's like I got a little knee scooter like sitting right beside me, and I got it in British racing green though, so at least it's cool.
Sick. Adam, so clearly you said you've had the 7 surgeries. In the past, when you've come back from a surgery, do your mindset change when you come back every time? Do you go, oh, I'm used to this now? Or is it like, now this is a very different chapter, a big comeback? What's your mindset going forward, character-wise, or what are you looking forward to do?
You know, it's like it never changed my mentality. And you know, part of me goes, well, you recreate yourself, but each injury kind of adds itself to the character that I was already portraying, which, to be honest, is not that far removed from me at this point. You know, it's as close as I've been to character and citizen than it's ever been, you know. And sometimes you can try and swim upstream and make it work and all of these things, but with my story, it just, because of the injuries, because of the 9 years retired, because of the first spear that was missed. That was for you.
Yeah, thank you for the thing. I was like, what? Oh, right. Yeah. I was more pissed than you were. No big deal. It's fine. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. You know, and it's funny because Kevin Dunn gets all the blame for that, but he wasn't producing that day. So
let him take the heat, whatever. Who cares?
Sure, right. But yeah, I don't know how much I change, honestly. I think it's just one more instance of like grizzled vet fighting back from another one. You know, but then the people let you know too. I might come back and it might boom me out of the building. I don't know, but you know, like right now I'm watching Jericho, and man, he's so much fun to watch. Like he's recreated himself again.
Yes.
He's leaned into what the you know, the naysayers have said, and he's took it and run. And now he's bringing Brian Keith and Big Bill with him, and he's the perfect person to bring those two guys along and get them spotlight and get the you know, their character, because they're clearly they can both do character work. You know, Brian Keith, I'm like, he might be one of my favorite characters all of a sudden. He just, you know, he says one.
You better
thing,
show some respect, brother. Yeah, damn straight.
I love it. I love it. And then here's this 7 foot, 300-pound rip dude, you know, being Professor Positive. And it's, I don't know. I love it. So there's something to recreation. I just don't know if this is the instance for that with me.
Adam, talking about recreation, let's get into Pure Plank. Go pureplank.com. Talk about how this can, for people who are listening, what they can get, the app, everything that they need to know.
Yeah, it you know, again, right before the pandemic, when I started, like, when I got the Iggy that I could get back to this, I was like, okay, well, got to get in ring shape, and that's hard to do without a ring. So how do I start? And I just started planking. I did. I had the dad bod. I was sitting about 260. Lower back was achy. My knees were starting to get sore, and I was like, I've never had issues with those before. Suddenly you have toddlers and you're walking around for 2 years holding your pinky out and you're bent over half the time, and now you got a gut. It's like, I better do something here. So I started planking. And, you know, the first time I remember, like, I hit 20 seconds. I was like, oh man, I haven't done this in a while. This is hard. So little by little, start, get down to Jay's, because now we're in the pandemic and we're doing stuff from Tropicana Field or wherever we were doing it. And he goes, so how'd you get your abs back? I was like, honestly, I just started planking. And then that opened the door to this, to that, to a better diet, to, you know, training again. And he goes, whatever, planking, okay, you know, because Jay's a dick. And I said, well, go for it. Do some planking. And he was doing it, butt all up in the air. I was like, no, bring that little butt down. And within 20 seconds, he's shaking. I was like, yeah, man. So he became an acolyte too. And then we both just became Disciples of Planking. There's a faction name. That'll sell some merch.
DOP, baby.
So then Jay had the idea. He goes, "Hey, I don't think there's anything on the market for this." I was like, "Interesting, yeah, because it kind of sucks on your elbows, kind of sucks on your shoulders, especially guys like us who have had multiple surgeries and things like that. And he has shoulder issues, and I have like torn triceps and no pecs and all that stuff. Not no pecs, just not attached. So they're there, and they're just kind of clumped up in a little ball. But so he said, we did some research, went on Amazon, and we found one thing, and then we ordered it. We got it. It was super dangerous. Like, huh. Interesting. Okay. So then he was in contact with this business group. We threw it by them. They're like, "Whoa, this could be pretty cool." And then now here we are, kind of 3 years later, and we got it in and sold out of the first shipment, and we're on the way to selling out of the second shipment. Been pretty great.